Welcome to Viral Buzz News. Today, an impactful story is shaking global financial markets. The stock market sell-off on Wall Street has significantly intensified. On Monday, the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell over 1,000 points. The Nasdaq Composite plunged more than 3.4%, and the S&P 500 lost nearly 3% in its worst day since 2022, marking its worst start to a month since 2002. Wall Street's volatility index, known as the fear gauge, hit its highest level since the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic before pulling back. Treasury bond yields fell, with the benchmark 10-year Treasury yield hovering around 3.8%. The global stock market plummeted rapidly after Friday's lackluster U.S. employment report added to concerns about the economy and whether the Federal Reserve had waited too long to start cutting interest rates. Notably, almost 100% of bets are on the central bank cutting rates by 0.5% at its September meeting, according to CME's FedWatch tool. Some of the largest companies in the stock market saw their values fall. Apple dropped around 5% amid the sell-off and news that Berkshire Hathaway had halved its stake in the company. Nvidia fell more than 6%. Tesla dropped over 4%. Cryptocurrencies also took a hard hit. Bitcoin plunged more than 10%, nearing the $54,000 level. Concerns spread worldwide. Asian markets started the week with a similar sell-off, as Japan's Nikkei 225 plunged more than 12% in its largest daily loss ever after a surprise interest rate hike by the Bank of Japan last week. The sharp rise of the Japanese yen against the US dollar has prompted significant selling, as speculators who borrowed money at Japan's near 0% interest rate to buy US risk assets have been liquidating their holdings. The U.S. market is heading into a quieter week in terms of data and earnings. With the labor market still in the spotlight, weekly jobless claims to be released on Thursday will be more closely watched than usual. The Dow Jones drops more than 1,000 points, with the tech sector leading the losses and the Nasdaq plunging more than 3%. Major averages fell on Monday as the recent market sell-off intensified. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost more than 1,000 points. The Nasdaq Composite fell approximately 3.4%, extending its losses from last week when the tech-heavy index entered a correction. The S&P 500 lost nearly 3% and posted its worst start to a month since 2002. On Monday, few assets escaped the crisis. Commodities were sold off en masse, as were cryptocurrencies. Japan's benchmark stock index rises nearly 11% a day after the massive sell-off that rattled Wall Street. Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 index rose nearly 11% on Tuesday morning, a day after triggering a sell-off in European and Wall Street markets. The Japanese index gained more than 3,300 points, not compensating for the enormous loss of more than 4,400 points the previous day, when it fell 12.4% in its worst daily drop since 1987. Monday's terrifying start began with an overseas drop reminiscent of the 1987 collapse that spread worldwide and hit Wall Street with more sharp losses as fears about a U.S. economic slowdown worsened. The S&P 500 fell 3%, its worst day in nearly 2 years. The Dow Jones Industrial Average tumbled 1,033 points, or 2.6%, while the Nasdaq Composite fell 3.4% as Apple, Nvidia, and other big tech companies that were once stock market stars continued to wither. The drops were the latest in a wave of global selling that began last week, and it was the first chance for Tokyo traders to react to Friday's report, showing U.S. employers slowed their hiring last month much more than economists had expected. That was the latest data showing the U.S. economy coming in weaker than expected, all of which has raised fears that the Federal Reserve has pressed the brakes on the U.S. economy for too long through high interest rates in hopes of quashing inflation. Professional investors warned that some technical factors might be amplifying the action in the markets, and that the drops could be exaggerated, but the losses were equally devastating. South Korea's Kospi index fell 8.8%, and Bitcoin fell below $54,000 from more than $61,000 on Friday. That's all for today. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like the video, and turn on the notification bell for more Viral Buzz news. See you in the next video.